Why is it so hard to let go? Y'all make it sound easy singing like that. Oh, yeah, I'm going to let it go. I'm in the moment. It's not easy to let go. It is not easy to let go. And anyone who says it is, most people don't even believe that it's possible to let go of some things. And I'm not even talking about addictions and bad habits, which are hard enough to let go of. I'm talking this morning about letting go of pain in our hearts caused by others or caused by ourselves that traps us like a monkey. You didn't hear that story, but in the 10 o'clock service, Tamara told a story about how they trap monkeys in India, and they dig a hole in the ground just big enough for the monkey to stick its hand into, and they put some kind of fruit or banana or something in there. The monkey grabs it, the piece of fruit, and then it can't get its hand out. But the monkey won't let go once it's attached to that object, so it remains there stuck by its inability or unwillingness to let go. And we can be like monkeys, and we can get stuck and trapped by our own inability to let go of some things. But we don't learn enough about it, about how do we let go. They don't teach a class. There's no 101 on letting go, forgiving, and things like that we learn. So this morning I want to talk about that. Now, I don't know why you came here this morning. Maybe you came here to hear the incredible music of the New Dimensions Chorale. That's a good enough reason to come. And maybe you came here because you wanted to hear the youth choir or your children sing, your youth sing in the youth choir, which that's plenty good enough of a reason to be here. Maybe it's because you want your children to be in a Sunday school where they learn about basic morality and spirituality without their heads being filled with guilt and superstitions and judgment and religious arrogance. In which case you came to the right place. And maybe you just wandered in the sanctuary to kill some time while you waited for your children. And I understand that, and that's all right. I'm glad you're here. Maybe you came because you just wanted to be around people. Maybe this is just what you do on Sunday mornings. Or maybe you've been holding on to something that's been eating you up, and then you somehow have some hope, some wish, a prayer to be able to let it go. Some burden that's been trapping you, holding you, keeping you from being all you can be, and you're sick of your creativity being stifled by it, your ability to love being hampered by it, and your joy and your passion squeezed like a bottleneck so that you can't blossom like a flower. This morning I want to talk about letting go. I don't know why you came, but I hope for whatever reason you came, you get what you're looking for this morning. This morning I want to talk about letting go of those things that are binding our hearts, which often involves forgiveness and grief. Now you might be holding on to something your daddy said 15 years ago or 50 years ago. Or you may have an ex, and to this day, when you see them in the grocery store or even think about them, you get filled with some emotions or thoughts of revenge. Someone might have hurt you, cheated you, disappointed you. You might be the type who blames yourself for everything that happens to you, so you're here to try to figure out how to let yourself off the hook. You might still be holding onto a grudge against God for something that happened, which gets really strange when somebody, because of that, already stopped believing in God, yet they're still mad at God for what they think God did, because people still hold on to being mad at God even long after they don't even believe in God anymore. We're funny that way. Sometimes we think that we've let go of things, but then we realize that they're still controlling us. And of course, whatever controls us becomes our master. If the thought of somebody or the sight of somebody changes your mood, then they're your master. Your memories can be your master if they control you. It means you're not free. It means that you're a slave to someone or something. But let's get one thing out of the way early, and that is that grief about someone who died is different. It's very common for people to hold on to the pain of grief of someone who died because they think that if they let it go, that intense pain, that they'll lose touch with the person who died. The pain of sorrow can feel to somebody like the last link that they have to that person. And since they couldn't hang on to the person, they're going to hang on to the pain. People can feel that they're betraying the deceased if they stop feeling miserable. Here's the thing about grief over the death of someone who's close to us. It never goes away completely. It just changes. I knew a widow who told me, Marlin, every morning for years I sat at my breakfast table conjuring up memories of my husband until I would cry. Why'd you keep doing it? I asked. I was afraid my life was going to move on and I was going to forget what it was like with him in it. I understand, I said. I felt the same way after my daughter died. She went on to say, I finally realized that I did not have to hold on to the pain of grief in order to hold on to my love for my husband. I know now, she said, after so many years, that neither my love nor my sadness is ever going to go away. The pain becomes smaller, less dominant, and joy and laughter return like the cool breeze in September. But it's always with us. We don't betray the person who died when we let go of our sorrow. We betray the person who died when we get stuck at one place in our grief. When we allow ourselves to be stuck, we turn their life and their love into a thorn in our heart. Nevertheless, the sting of sorrow never completely disappears. So with grief, it's not so much about letting go as much as it is about how you carry it. As the poet Mary Oliver says, it's not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief. It's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it, when you cannot or would not put it down. Some things we need to let go of, and other things we need to learn how to carry, because we're not ready to let them go, or we can't. Have you ever met anyone who had a big chip on their shoulder? And you say to them, why do you have such a chip on your shoulder? They say, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. What are you talking about? You say, oh, well, you know, it looks like a chip on your shoulder. And everyone else can see it, but they say, no, I don't. Right? Compare that to the person who says, yeah, oh yeah, this chip, I know, I'm real familiar with it. I come by it honestly, some things that have gone on in my life. I've been trying to work with it for a long time. It may be with me forever. I don't even know if I'll ever get rid of it. You can feel sympathy for that person because they've balanced out that chip with some humility. They know how to carry it. Because, to be honest, letting it go can be really hard. In fact, many people think it's impossible. They don't even believe in it. How we carry our grief and our grudges makes all the difference when we cannot let it go. Now, there's also the person who carries a heavy weight. Like it's like a stone that they're carrying around, just heavy, like a brick or something that they carry with them. Some people carry it out in front of them like this. That's not very comfortable. You start banging everyone in the head with it. They want everybody to see it. I've been abused. I grew up poor. I'm unlucky in love. My parents were awful. My husband cheated on me. My church made me feel guilty. It's exhausting carrying that out in front. Try to hug somebody who's got to get in there to get a hug to somebody who's got a brick out in front of them. But most of us do not know how to carry what we cannot put down. It reminds me of how some guys, you know how some guys, their girlfriend or their wife, that gives them her purse in some public place, says, I'm going to be right back, honey, just hold on to this. And the guy's standing there, he doesn't know what to do with it. Some guys will fling it over their shoulder like this. They try to act all cool, like, right? And then there's the football hold. Some guys will just tuck it in right here, try to look masculine. Other guys, they hold it like a dirty diaper or something out there. It's all out here. And there's the guys who just sling it over their shoulder, but they have an attitude about it. Like, what are you looking at? At least I have a girlfriend. You know? But in all seriousness, there are certain things that are just too heavy or painful or disappointing or just plain awkward. For one reason or another, we can't let them go. And we don't know how to carry them. Whether it's the loss of someone we love, or a divorce that shatters our dreams, or an event that left a scar that we have to live with for the rest of our lives. It's all about how we carry it. We may have a challenging child or a parent who's grown to need a lot of care, and letting go of this is not an option. So it's how we carry it. It's about balance. It's about positioning. It takes practice and patience. Now, but when it comes to letting go of things that are trapping us like a monkey, which means letting go of things that we're trapping ourselves with, how does it work? One way we do this to ourselves is that we say, I will forgive as soon as he or she does something. Right? Well, we just gave that person control over our happiness. I'm not forgiving Harry until he apologizes for what he's done. Well, here's the thing. Harry's probably already moved on with his life. He doesn't even care. Go ahead and curse me. I don't care. You know, he's already moved on. And yet, he's never going to apologize. And now we've given him the power over our peace of mind. Or the person who's, my sister-in-law, until she stops doing whatever or starts doing this. We just gave our sister-in-law the power over our lives and our happiness. Whenever I think of this, I think of an old episode of the Three Stooges. Anyone remember the Three Stooges? Not that many people. The Three Stooges? All right, I was a big fan back at... So Mo was over hitting Curly with a hammer in the head. And then the phone rings, and it's for Mo, and he goes, okay, excuse me, Curly, can you just keep doing this? I'll be right back. And Mo walks away, and Curly's over here hitting himself in the head with a hammer. That's what being unforgiving is like. We're over here punishing ourselves, despite somebody who's already left. Why do we do it? In part because anger and self-righteousness is energizing. It actually gives us energy. It'll get you out of bed in the morning. You get angry at somebody, I'm all mad, and you know what I'm saying? It gets your blood flowing. It does get you up, right? The brain actually creates chemicals that when we get angry, that actually can become addictive. We're so used to them. They give us energy. It's my purpose for being alive in the world. I'm mad. I've been wronged. But it's also because we get loads of bad advice. My God, the things people will tell you. Be careful who you listen to. There's like the friend who says, whatever you do, don't ever forgive him. Pretend like you forgive him. And then just hold on to it and throw it in his face every once in a while. That's how you can keep control in the relationship. There's no end to the bad advice that people will give you. Some people will say, hey, you're not perfect either, so just get over it. Who are you to be a judge? Lighten up. Give her a break. There's no end to the unhelpful advice one will get when you've been hurt by what someone else has done. There's the overly conservative approach that tells us never forgive. It's a sign of weakness. And if you start forgiving people of their wrongs, then they're going to make you look like a fool. You're going to get trampled all over, and they're never going to do the right thing. They say, stick to your guns and don't give in and don't be a softy. People don't change anyway. Reverend Fred Craddock tells a story about a woman named Helen. When Helen found that her husband Jim was having an affair, she went home to her mother. She was there for about 6 weeks, and she'd been in communication with Jim throughout that time, and she decided to return and was packing her suitcase. Her mother came into the room. What are you doing? I'm packing a suitcase. Well, I could see you're packing a suitcase. Where are you going? I'm going home. You are at home. I'm not at home. I'm going to my home. You're going back to your home? Jim will be there. I know it. I forgive him. I love him, and I forgive him. What? I love him, and I forgive him. You mean yes, mother, I'm going back. I love him, and I forgive him. I never thought a daughter of mine would condone a thing like, mother, I didn't say I condone it. I said I forgive him. Well, it looks the same to me. Now, what are other people going to say? And then this dialogue goes on with the mother telling Helen all the things that people are going to say about her being trampled over and weak and all the rest of it. Helen's mother takes a very conservative approach that you should never forgive and should always stand for what is right, or else you are colluding with immorality. Plus, people can't change. There's no doubt that people have a hard time believing in forgiveness and letting go, or that it can even make a difference. And then, of course, there's the other side, the excessive liberal approach. People want to prove how open-minded they are. And they say, oh, let it go. Everybody makes mistakes. No one's perfect. You're no saint either. Who are you to judge? Be mad at someone. But that's problematic in the face of your trust and your values and your personhood being violated. When someone has betrayed your confidence or stolen from you either your possessions or your self-esteem, or stolen your love or your innocence. Being told not to judge or be mad is like being told after being punched in the face not to hurt. It hurts. And when it comes to letting go and forgiving people, there are all kinds of opinions out there, and everyone's going to have one. But in the end, the only person who can say whether forgiveness is possible is the one who's been hurt. There's always going to be conversations around the water cooler at work, or at the bar, or in the coffee shop, or these days on blogs and Twitter and Facebook. People saying, oh, she should never take him back, or he needs to move on. Or people saying, come on, he should forgive her, or she ought to stop being so self-righteous. But it's not their case to decide. The only one who really has a say is the one who was hurt. The reason everyone else can be so free with their opinions is because they're not the one who's suffering. Forgiveness, if you believe in it, is a third way of dealing with these problems. Holding on tightly to righteous indignation and a desire for revenge is one approach, but it eats away at your heart like an acid. It can destroy your life. It can turn you into a pillar of salt. And liberally accepting all kinds of inappropriate behaviors and hurtful behaviors from people, letting people get away with murder, if you will, is another approach. People often say or pretend that they're okay with it. I'm easygoing. Well, people walk all over them, and they're not really being honest with themselves about how much it really hurts. These people downplay the violation, and they don't take it very seriously. But forgiveness is another alternative. For forgiveness to happen, it can look from the outside like you're soft on crime. But on the inside, you are feeling the pain of it. For something to truly be forgiveness means that the person who's offering it takes what happened seriously and feels the pain of being violated, and yet chooses to release it so that their history does not define their destiny. It's not excusing or tolerating or saying what happened is okay. It's feeling the pain and the moral indignation and deciding to let go. Through prayer, through therapy, through whatever it takes to free one's life to be fully alive and fully free. It's not so much about setting the other person free. It's about setting ourselves free. But to let go of the pain, pain that has come to define one's life, pain that we promised ourselves we will carry always, that has become who I am, the hurt one, the victim, the wronged. To turn loose of that is not simple, even if it promises so much. I once saw a father who rejected his gay son. And the father felt betrayed by his son, who he thought was making an awful choice. And the son felt betrayed by his father for turning his back on his only child, his own child. And years later, I would see them regularly walking out of this sanctuary together, talking and laughing. Was it real? Can people change? Is it possible to really let go? A woman recently told me, and I asked her permission if I could share this story. She said that for the past 15 years or so, she has been so resentful and dismissive of Christians and repulsed by Jesus and people who love Jesus. Just recently, she realized it wasn't Jesus she was mad at for all these years. It was her mother-in-law, who was skillful at using the Bible as a wedge and a weapon. Being in this church and hearing the parables and the stories from the Bible, the way that we talk about them, she said she's come to see that Jesus is, in her words, a really cool dude. He's just all right with me. And she actually said, you know, I realized I admire and I adore Jesus for his wisdom, his gumption, his radical stands in the face of a culture that was violent and oppressive and sexist and uncaring. She said, Jesus is not the problem. Some of his followers are a problem. And she has let go of her anger towards Christianity and especially towards Jesus. Now, I didn't hear her say she let go of her anger towards her mother-in-law. But we got to take these things one step at a time. Actually, I didn't ask her about her mother-in-law, but I imagine that if she still has that anger, that she's learned how to carry it more skillfully. One last story. I once saw a couple. One of them had cheated and deceived the other. They actually lost some friends when they decided to get back together. That's how indignant some of their friends were about what had happened. It's been 10 years. And when I see them, there's this tenderness and honesty in their interactions that I admire. Is it real? Is forgiveness possible? I'm asking you now. Do you believe these people have really let go?